Hi everybody, it's Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make this headscarf here. Actually just a big triangle kind of, and the sides are a little bit longer, I would say. So it can tie around. It's got shells and chains there, you can see. It's actually really easy. So let's go ahead and get started on that. Today I'm using the Red Heart Unforgettable. There are 270 yards per skein. You're going to need 2 skeins to make this headscarf. The color that I chose is called Heirloom. And all Unforgettable is, it's a medium weight 100% acrylic yarn. And I'm going to be using a size J, which is a 6mm crochet hook. So it's actually pretty easy. We'll go ahead and start with the slip knot on our hook. Also, you want to check the link below to where you can purchase this yarn, and also the link to my blog to where you can get the free pattern. Okay, we're going to start off with the chain of 4. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're going to go ahead and slip stitch into the first stitch to form a ring. Just like that. I always kind of pull my tail a little bit. You want to make sure you keep your fingers to hold that ring open. That's what I always do. Now we're going to start with a chain 1. Now we're going to work 5 double crochets through the center of the ring. So that'll be our first shell. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we can pull that tail a little bit, and that should close up that circle a little bit more. Now that was row 1. Now we're going to start row 2 by chaining 1 and turning our work. The chain 1 that I do does not count as anything. It doesn't mean anything to me, so it doesn't count as a stitch or nothing. So we're going to work right here in this very first stitch, and we're going to work a double crochet, just 1 double into the very first one. Now we're going to work a chain of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're going to single crochet in the center stitch of this shell. So count back until you find the center. So this one right here. So there's 1, 2, 3, and on this side 1, 2, 3. So the center one, single crochet right into it. And now we're going to chain 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're going to put a double crochet into the last double crochet of this shell. So just yarn over and go right into that last double crochet, the top of the last double crochet, and put a double crochet. And that'll end row 2, and you could see that you have 2 chain spaces now. Okay, for row 3 we're going to chain 1 and turn. Now remember, the chain 1 doesn't count as anything. Now for row 3 we're going to start off by putting a shell in this very first double crochet. So what we're going to do is work 5 double crochets right here into this first double. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to put a single crochet directly right after this shell right into this chain space. Just like that. And now we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to put a single crochet into the next chain space again. So right through this chain space. Like that. And now we're going to put a shell into the top of the last double crochet. So we're going to put 5 double crochets into the top of this last double crochet here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that'll end row 3. Now all it is kind of a repeat of rows 2 and 3. But I'm going to go a bit further because I know it can get confusing. So row 4, we're just going to repeat row 2. But every row it's just going to keep getting larger. So we're going to chain 1 and turn. So every even row is just the chain row. It's where we do the chain 4s and the single crochets. So we're repeating row 2. We're on row 4. So we're going to start off by putting a double crochet into the very first stitch. Like that. And then we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we want to single crochet into the center stitch of this first shell. So, right here. And then we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to single crochet into this chain space right here. And then we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to single crochet into the center of this last shell. So find your center stitch, single crochet, and we're going to chain 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to end by putting a double crochet in the top of the last double crochet of this shell. And that'll end row 4, which was just a repeat of row 2, but now you just have more chains than you did when you did row 2. So row 5 is a repeat of row 3. It'll be the shell and the chain row. So we're going to repeat row 3 for row 5. So we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. So we're going to start off by putting a shell into the very first stitch. So go ahead and put 5 double crochets into the first stitch. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now every time you do a shell, you need to put a single crochet into the chain space right next to it. So go right next to it into this chain space and put a single crochet, just like that. And then we'll chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to single crochet into this next chain space. That. And now we're going to do a shell into the next single crochet. And you can see this single crochet is not on top of a shell from the previous row. You see how this single crochet is on top of this shell here? That means we didn't put a shell in this one. But since this single crochet is in the chain space from the previous row, we're going to put a shell into that single crochet. So we're going to go ahead, we're not going to chain 4, we're just going to go ahead and yarn over, go right into it, and work 5 double crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then since we just did a shell, we need to put a single crochet directly into the next chain space, just like that. And now we're going to chain 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to single crochet into the next chain space, like that. And now we're going to end by putting a shell into the double crochet here on the end. So we're not going to do any more chains. We're just going to go ahead and work right into that double crochet and work 5 double crochets into it. Just like that. And that'll end row 5. And as you can see, now you have 3 shells. Row 3, you had 2 shells. In row 1, you had 1 shell. So now we're going to start row 6, which is going to be just a repeat of row 2. So we're going to chain 1 and turn. This is the chain row where we just do all chains. So we're going to do a double crochet into the first stitch and chain 4. And now we're going to put a single crochet into the middle stitch of this shell. So find your middle stitch, put a single crochet right into it like that, and then we're going to chain 4 again, and then we're going to single crochet into the next chain space like that, chain 4, single crochet into the middle stitch of the next shell, chain 4, single crochet into the next chain space, chain 4, and then we will single crochet into the middle stitch of the last shell, chain 4, and now we're going to end with a double crochet into the top of the last double crochet of this shell right here like that, and that'll end row 6. See, it's all chains. Now row 7 is just going to be a kind of a repeat of row 3. It's the shell and the chain row. So again, we'll do it again. We'll chain 1 and turn. And we're going to work 5 double crochets into the first stitch or a shell. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And remember, after a shell, we need to single crochet directly into the next chain space. And then we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to single crochet into the next chain space. And now we're going to shell into the next single crochet, because you can see this single crochet is hooked to the chain from the previous row. We never put a shell on top of a shell. Always kind of diagonal from each other. So we're going to put, we're not going to chain, we're going to go ahead and put 5 double crochets into that single crochet. And now remember, we have to single crochet directly into the next chain space after a shell. And then we chain 4. And we single crochet into the next chain space. And now we're going to shell into the next single crochet, because you can see it's hooked to the chain. So go ahead and put your 5 double crochets into it. And then we have to put a single crochet directly into the next chain space. We chain 4. and then we're going to single crochet into the next chain space, and then we're going to shell into the last double crochet here. Just like that. So now we'll have 4 shells that row. So every row you're gaining a shell. You can see what it's starting to look like. So next we'll just do our chain row again. Chain 1 and turn, double crochet into the first stitch, and then we chain 4, single crochet into the middle of the first shell, the middle stitch, chain 4, single crochet into the next chain space, chain 4, single crochet into the middle stitch of the next shell, chain 4, single crochet into the next chain space, chain 4, single crochet in the middle stitch of the next shell, chain 4, single crochet in the next chain space, chain 4, single crochet in the middle stitch here of the last shell. Make sure you chain 4 after that one. Is that 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. And then end with a double crochet into the last double crochet of that shell. So there's your chain row. Just like that. I'll go ahead and do one more shell row. Hope I'm not boring you, but I just want to make sure everybody understands, because I know it can be kind of confusing. So we're going to chain 1, turn. We're going to start this row by putting a shell into the very first double crochet here. So go ahead and work your 5 doubles. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Single crochet directly into the next chain space and chain 4. Single crochet into the next chain space, and then we will do our shell into the next single crochet. So go ahead and work 5 double crochets into the next single. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we got a single crochet directly into the next chain space after that shell, and then we chain 4, single crochet into the next chain space, and then we shell into the next single crochet. Single crochet directly into the next chain space, chain 4, single crochet into the next chain space, and then we're going to shell into the next single crochet, single crochet directly into the next chain space, chain 4, single crochet into this last chain space, and now we're going to end by putting a shell on top of that last double crochet here. 5 double crochets into that last stitch. And that's kind of how we repeat. We just kind of keep repeating the chain row and then the shell in the chain row, back and forth. In every shell row you'll gain a new shell. So now we have 5, and that's kind of how you work it. You just keep doing that back and forth, and you want to do that for a total of 42 rows. Okay, once you get your 42 rows done, now you can do this as big as you want. You know, you can make this a really big shawl and make a really beautiful shawl. But I'm going to stop at 42 rows for my headscarf. And at the 42nd row should be a row of chains. Now, the chain row. What I'm going to do is clean up with this last row, since it's going to be the front of the scarf, with a row of single crochet. So for row 43, I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work 1 single crochet into the back into the very first stitch. So right here, 1 single. And now this chain here of 4, I'm going to work 4 single crochets through the chain space. So just like this. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now in this chain, or this single crochet, we'll just put 1 single crochet in it. And then 4 single crochets through this chain 4 space. And 1 single crochet into the next single crochet. And that's kind of what we're going to do the whole way across, just to clean up that last edge. So 4 single crochets through this chain 4 space. And 1 single crochet into the next single crochet. 1 single crochet into the next, or 4 single crochets into the next chain 4 space. And then 1 into the next single crochet. So I'm going to repeat this all the way across to clean up that last edge. Okay, once you make it to the end here, I put 4 single crochets here in this space, and then just go ahead and end by putting a slip stitch into this last double crochet here. Instead of a single crochet, just slip stitch into it. Oh. Like that, and then you can tie that off, hide that tail, and then we will be finished with it. And that's it. That's all there is to the headscarf. I think it turned out really good. Flip it around here to the right side. What you want to do though is kind of, since you're working with these chains, they kind of get bundled up together. I always kind of spread them apart real good. That way they don't get, sometimes the chain ones, they're not right in the middle of the chains and they just get tangled. So I always do this, give it a bit of a stretch and get all them chains stretched out to their proper position. But that's it. That's all there is to it. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. I think it turned out really nice. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to check me out on Facebook too. And until next time, have a good day.